All right, guys, hi. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Dorothy, your professional astrologer. So I want to talk about January for the month, but before I do that, I just want to let you know, if you haven't signed up for my email list, amongst the new people who go to my website, nhastrologer.com, and join my email list for my newsletter, of the new people who do that, I am picking 3 people every month for a 20-minute session free with me. So go to nhastrologer.com and sign up there if you would like to be part of that. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I put up lots of videos every single month and you are notified when they are up. So let's get started. I want to talk about, for this month, 3 things, because otherwise these videos just get way too long. So I have 3 things that I've chosen out of the month, and there's always a ton more that I want to talk to you guys about in the general sense. So I'm going to give you that general information right now. And the second piece of each video will be where these things are going on and influencing you for each of your zodiac signs. I also like to pull an oracle card or 2. I might just do that too for each sign for the month of January. All right, so let me get started with what's going on here. So I got my notes in front of me. It's a big whiteboard. See? Talking about being authentic. Very important to be authentic right now. It's always important to be our true selves anyways. This is me. I'm not going to be anybody I'm not. When we live in our own authenticity, we live true to ourselves, you know, the energy, life just flows a whole lot better. And I know that just my own life experience has proven that to myself. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about, I'll tell you really quick. Mercury retrograde, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Jupiter retrograde and as it makes its conjunction to the North Node, the lunar node, on the day it goes retrograde. And then if I'm not running too long, I'm going to talk about Venus and Sag. Okay, so Mercury. Mercury's retrograde January 7th all the way through January 26th. Now, it starts its retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius. It will only be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, but it will be at that degree for a whole week. And so we're getting to start off a retrograde. Retrogrades, you know, the day that, especially Mercury or any planet, truly, when they go retrograde, the day that they're retrograde, and even the day that they're direct, they're at a standstill from our perspective here on this planet. And you know, the energy of that just means that what it means is nothing's moving. Nothing will move. It's stopped. It's like us when we're in our car. You know, there's that dead stop before we go the next direction. So Mercury tends to be very free-flowing, great for gathering information. It's very lighthearted, very easy, kind of like the butterfly, because we're describing, you know, Mercury in its natural rulership of Gemini. Now, with it in Aquarius, as it goes retrograde, again being in 1 degree for a whole week as opposed to a single day like it usually is, lots of communication issues are just going to go hit a standstill. And whether this means that, whether it's communication and, you know, phones just go bad, computers go haywire for a little bit, or if we look at the other aspect of Mercury, transportation and movement. So wherever you live, there could be some weather. You know, I live in the northern hemisphere, so I'm looking at, you know, probably some bad weather that week, just that will keep us home a little more so we're not moving out and about as much, okay? So don't take this as the end of the world by any means, but there will definitely take this whole week, especially the first week of January, it'll take a little while for us to get rolling on what this Mercury energy is really wanting to produce. It's not going to produce much in Aquarius. What it will do when it moves into the sign of Capricorn, somewhere around the 10th, once it moves into the sign of Capricorn, like 29 degrees, 28, it's backing all the way up to 14 degrees of Capricorn, which is where those cardinal planets have been, you know, right around 13, 14, 15 degrees for months and years on end, right? And that tells me that we got some more cardinal cross, cardinal T-square things happening, and this is the case. So later in the month, this will take a little while, but on January 20th, Mercury makes a square aspect to Uranus, and then on the 22nd and the 30th, it conjuncts Pluto. Now, it conjuncts Pluto as a retrograde planet on the 22nd and as a direct planet on the 30th. So what do these two things mean? And I'm going to get to where it is for each of the signs in just a second, so hang on. With Mercury making a square aspect to Uranus, this is communication, especially as a retrograde planet. You know, there's just going to be, we're going to be getting weird emails, we're going to be getting weird messages, we're going to be getting stuff that is just through the roof very different. Now, Aquarius and Uranus rules Aquarius. Since Mercury started its retrograde in that sign, and the planet that is the ruler of gets an aspect from Mercury, you know, we're going to, you know, we feel like we need to move and we need to do something. This could be a pretty tricky retrograde this time around. If you have electronics, this is one of the times, because Aquarius rules those things. I would recommend before we go retrograde, so you're going to hear this ahead of time because I have it up in December. For those of you lucky enough to see it ahead of time, definitely back up your electronics. And keep an eye on them, you know, fix things, renew things, do what you need to do to keep things in alignment and up to date. And that's really important. And that's that Mercury square Uranus, all right, January 20th. And we're going to feel that a few days on either side of that date, okay? And that's the day that the sun enters Aquarius as well. So I'm telling you, it's going to be an interesting day on January 20th. There's just going to be a lot of rocking and rolling going on. And I'll be there to see it too. We'll let each of us know how that happens. Fill me in when you get a chance if you like. Then on the 22nd and on the 30th, when Mercury does make this conjunction to Pluto, you know, whatever we were doing that went through a major shakeup or just, you know, amazing news. I mean, this can even be amazing news. Don't take shakeups as something that's negative all the time, you know, with that Uranus energy. On the 22nd, when it does conjunct Pluto, there could be a very deep transformation. It's like, okay, so I have this new information. What do I do with it now? All right, what do I do with it now? And this is how we look at it. And on the 22nd, all the way through the 30th, Mercury will just be in conjunction with Pluto that whole time, within a few degrees either side. And so we are changing and transforming how we see things and how we feel about something and how we're presenting that out in our immediate environment. Because Mercury is in charge of the immediate environment as well as the communication piece that everybody speaks about. So if you don't know enough about Mercury, go search it out and you'll get lots of good information about that. So next step is what is going on in what house. So, and the houses will be representative of your zodiac sign. So that is next. Okay, Cancer, this is going on in your solar 7th house. Now, Mercury does go retrograde on January 5th. I don't think I mentioned that in the last 6 minutes. I mentioned the 1st to the 7th when it was in Aquarius, but I never mentioned when it actually went retrograde. January 5th, by the way. All of this energy goes on, you know, where the retrograde is in your solar 7th house. All right, and so that just is focusing in on your relationships, your one-to-one partnerships, and usually it's the love relationship. Or really, really close friends. It's not friends as a group, okay? It's just the basic, well, no, relationships are never basic, are they? Keep an eye on that, and everything I've already mentioned in the previous 6 minutes here, you know, focus in on what that means for you and how you need to change your communication or how that needs to take a shift, all right? All right. I know, all right. Next, I want to talk about Jupiter, and it goes retrograde on January 7th. Now, there is a separate video for Jupiter in the sign of Virgo that is already on my page. It's been on there for months. So I'm going to put a link up right here, right now, so you can just click on that, and it will open a new window and take you to that video. So you can hang on to that and go listen to that if you haven't done that already. Give you additional information to January, okay? Good, you do that. But let me tell you this piece. Jupiter is retrograde on the 7th at 23 degrees of Virgo. That conjuncts the North Node. So the North Node, that's the soul, the lunar node. And what this does is whenever anything connects with the nodes, whether they're in our birth chart or the transiting one, what it does is it's where we gather information, and then we send that into our moon, and then the moon, it means the emotions, and we get to work things out in our head. This goes on in your third house, and that third house is about communicating, and communicating in your immediate environment, especially whether it's siblings, parents, just your home, your neighborhood. It's all about that type of information. This is very, very homegrown stuff. And so what we get with these things is we feel inspired. We want to be looking at the bigger picture. Even though Jupiter's retrograde now, we're still trying to reevaluate or evaluate the bigger picture and what it means to us in our everyday living and everyday life, because it's in your third house and it's in Virgo. And when things are in the sign of Virgo, especially like they are here, it's about being extremely present and focusing in on what's important in your everyday living. And we're going to also bring up that this was really close to the same place that the eclipse was on September 13th. Yes, it was at 20 Virgo. This is at 23, so it's very similar. That sensitive spot in the zodiac for a while. And with Jupiter, this big, humongous, lumbering planet, standing still and then going retrograde at this area, that just means that we are, as a race, as humanity, actually not race, but I mean as humanity, it's time for us to step up and make daily living a spiritual practice. And this is something that's very important for you too, since it's in that solar third house, making daily living something that's really, really important. All right. Next, and finally, I'm just looking at my notes here. The final piece that I want to talk about for this month, even though there's tons of other stuff, and if you want to know more, you know where to find me for your own private sessions, by the way. Venus in Sagittarius. That's so much fun. Venus is the love relationships we have, the things that we value, even how we make our money sometimes. Venus and Sag can be a really fun teacher. Or if you've never taught before, but you've been thinking of how you want to teach classes, whatever they may be. Usually it's something that's about enlightenment and expanding and things like that. So metaphysical studies would be a perfect thing. Anything that's metaphysical or occult-like. The energy of this, it's an opportunity for you to, be a teacher, become that, and be adventurous and fun. So you can do that through teaching, or you can have that in your love relationships. Now, later in the month of January, Venus does make a conjunction to Saturn. I'm not telling you what day it is because I don't want you to focus on it. I just want you to know that throughout the month of January, for most of January, while Venus is moving through Sagittarius, it will conjunct Saturn. So are we going to commit to that career or to that teaching experience? Or are we going to commit to that relationship that we want to commit to? Are we going to push somebody that we're in a relationship with to commit to us? Are we going to do it out of fear? Or are we going to do it because we love somebody and we want to be with them the rest of our lives? Or take that in however you want to as far as the teaching goes. This goes on in your solar sixth house. And what does that mean? And that means that your everyday life, everyday living, the activities that you present to the world every day, because that sixth house is all about what we do every day. Oops, I dropped my stuff, sorry. It's about what we do every day. And so the energy of that, take that and use it every day, because that Virgo energy is strong in some aspects, and with this other aspect, with Venus and Saturn there, we are focusing in on what our daily routine is all about, which includes our health. And that's what we got going on for you, Cancer. Now, I pulled 2 cards for you as well, and let me see what they are, because I didn't look at them ahead of time. So, nice. So we have movement, choices, and decisions. You can see that's all 4 elements in the astrology, actually: air, earth, fire, and water. What are we going to do with that? So that gives us opportunity. Saturn is about making some decisions and choices, but it's not about fast movement. That would be the Virgo energy, all right? Then the second card is all about our passion being ignited. See that right there? And when passion is ignited, that definitely tells us that that we need to engage what's important for us, engage what we love, and those movement, choices, and decisions will come much easier for us. All right, thank you very much. Please come to my website, nhastrologer.com, I teach lots of classes online. I also have a private mentorship program that I have just begun, and I only have 8 open spaces left for the whole year. I do them at 6 months intervals. So come and ask me if you have any questions. Come to my website, astrologer.com. Subscribe here and please share. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time. Namaste. Lots of love.